Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about the forward and reverse control of a three-phase induction motor using the PLC. Let us recall some concepts regarding forward and reverse control of three-phase induction motor. So when a three-phase induction motor will be rotated in forward and when it will be rotated in reverse. So as per our basic knowledge of three-phase induction motor, so a three-phase induction motor generally will be having three terminals outside. So those are represented with R by B. And three-phase supply is also having three phases which are represented with R by B. Right now, if three-phase supply R by B terminals are connected directly to the R by B terminals of your induction motor, so then the induction motor will rotate in forward direction. Okay. So this will be rotated in forward, and let us assume this will be the forward rotation. Okay, R is connected to R, Y is connected to Y, B is connected to B. Now, if you want to make this motor to rotate in reverse direction, so then what you have to do? You have to interchange any two terminals, right? So you keep R to R as it is here. Now you can interchange the terminals. Three-phase supply Y is connected to motor B and three-phase supply B is connected to motor Y here like this. So now the induction motor will rotate in reverse direction. Okay, so you have to keep two terminals interchange and other terminal will be kept as it is. Okay, so this is one way. So by keeping R as it is and interchanging Y and B. So now this is another connection in which Y is connected directly to Y and R and B terminals are interchanged here. R is connected to three-phase supply, R is connected to B and three-phase supply B is connected to R. Right? Two terminals are interchanged. Or you can also have the another connection by keeping B as constant and interchanging RY. Okay. So to make the motor to rotate in a reverse direction, you have to interchange any two terminals. Okay. So this is from basic knowledge. So this concept we are going to use and make the motor to rotate in forward and reverse continuously. So this we are going to done with PLC. So let us see the connections of PLC. Right, to make the motor to continuously rotate in forward direction for some time, let us say 30 seconds, and reverse direction for another 30 seconds, and again forward direction for 30 seconds, again reverse for 30 seconds, like a steering operation. Okay, so forward direction for 30 seconds, reverse for 30 seconds. So like that, the motor has to continuously rotate in forward and reverse for every 30 seconds. Okay, so to make this to work, you have to use mainly two contactors. So here we are using three contactors. One is the main contactor, another contactor is for forward control, another contactor is for reverse control. Okay, so without main contactor also you can do, but generally we will prefer to use main contactor also. So if you consider the main contactor, there will be total three. Okay, so three contactors you have to use for making the forward reverse control of an induction motor with PLC. Okay, so as usual, to start and stop the induction motor, you will be having two push buttons. Okay, two normally open push buttons. Those two push buttons are connected to X0 and X1 terminals of your PLC. Right, when you press the start push button, your X0 will be energized, and when you press the stop push button, your X1 will be energized. Okay, so as here we are using three contactors. Each contactor will be having one coil. Okay, so whenever that particular coil is energized, so then that contactor will be closed. Okay, so main contactor, which is represented with M. So right, so inside the box you are represented one. So this is the coil for this contactor, which is main contactor. Right, so the K1 is the coil for forward control contactor. Right, so and K2 is the coil for a reverse contactor. Okay, so we are going to use three contactors. Let us say them as main contactor, forward contactor, and reverse contactor. Main contactor is represented with M, forward contactor K1, reverse contactor K2. Okay, so now these three contactors will be connected to Y0, Y1, Y2 of your PLC. Right, so whenever Y0 is energized, then this power supply 220 volts power supply will be given to the main contactor coil, right? Main contactor here inside the box you are having you are represented with M, right? This is the coil actually. Okay, so this coil, main contactor coil, will get the supply when Y0 is energized. Okay, so when Y0 is energized, then this main contactor will close. So similarly, so when Y1 is on, forward contactor coil will get the supply and forward contactor will close. So like that, when Y2 is on, reverse contactor coil will get the supply of 20 to 20 volts, then reverse contactor will close. Okay, so now how to write the PLC program to make the motor to rotate in forward direction for 30 seconds and reverse direction for another 30 seconds. So like that, continuously it has to rotate in forward and reverse until you press the stop button. Okay, this is our main aim. Okay, right, now to make it happen, I'm going to press the start button. Okay, to start the motor, I'm going to press the start button. So right, whenever I press the start button, X0 will be energized. Right, so whenever X0 is energized, what has to be happen? This main contactor coil and the forward contactor coil, these two has to get the power supply of 220 volts, so that these four poles will close and the RYB phase three-phase supply will get to motor and motor will rotate in forward direction. Right, so whenever main contactor and forward contactor, these two are on, the motor will rotate in forward direction. Okay, so whenever you press the start button, the motor has to rotate in forward direction for 30 seconds. Right, then after 30 seconds, this forward contactor has to open and the reverse contactor has to close, so that the motor will rotate in reverse direction and the motor will continuously rotate in reverse direction for 30 seconds. So then again this K2 will close, open, and K1 again after 30 seconds it has to open. So like that, operation has to be performed continuously until you press the stop button. Whenever you press the stop button, the motor has to stop. Okay, right, let us write the PLC program for this operation. Okay, go to WPLC soft and take a new file. Your program title, you can keep anything, forward reverse control. Here you can select model type as PLC and model number as SS2. Click on OK. Right, you have to write the program from this. Okay, so whenever I press the start button, X0 will be energized. Now whenever X0 is energized, what has to be done? Whenever X0 is energized, this main contactor and this K1 forward contactor, these two contactor has to close. Right, for this to happen, main contactor coil and forward contactor coil has to get the power supply of 220 volts. For this to happen, Y0 and Y1 has to on. So whenever you press the start push button, Y0 and Y1 should on. Right, so here whenever you press X0, Y0 is on along with Y1 also. Okay, now as it is a push button, you have to provide the latching circuit. So that latching will be provided by connecting one contactor in parallel to X0 with the address of Y0. Okay, right. So now as per this program, whenever you press X naught, Y naught and Y1 will get the supply, right? So forward main contactor and forward contactor both will on, and the motor will rotate in forward direction. Now you have to count the time. At the same time, you have to count the time of 30 seconds. For that purpose, here along with Y0 and Y1, the contactor, the timer has also to be on. So here you have to take a one timer T0, which is having 30 seconds time. So T0 is a 100 milliseconds timer. So here a K value, if you are keeping 300 means 300 into the 100, 30,000 milliseconds, which is 30 seconds. Okay, so 30 seconds delay we are keeping, right? So whenever you press the X0, all these will on at a time. Y0, Y1 and timer all will on, right? So the motor will rotate due to Y0 and Y1 on. The motor will rotate in forward direction, and the timer will count time up to 30 seconds. So whenever 30 seconds is elapsed, T0 will be energized. Okay, the timer internal coil T0 will be energized, right? Whenever T0 is energized, so this contactor, forward contactor has to open, right? Forward to happen this Y0 Y1 sorry Y1 has to off. For this to happen, you have to use one normally closed contactor with T0 address. Okay, whenever T0 is energized, that means after 30 seconds, as we are using here normally closed, it will open, so that Y1 will be disconnected from the supply. Okay, so then after you have to close this, right? So to make it completely open all these poles of this contactor, you have to provide some delay. Okay, so before starting of a reverse contactor, you have to completely close the forward contactor, sorry, completely open the forward contactor. For this to happen, you provide some delay after T0 also, right? After 30 seconds, Y1 will instantly off, right? So but to completely off, you are going to give again 2 seconds time. So I'm using another timer. So this time I'm using T1. 20 seconds in the sense, here you have to keep 2 seconds. So for 2 seconds you have to keep here 20. Okay, after 2 seconds T1 will be energized. So with the T1 address, you have to the T1 address, you have to switch on the Y2, so which is when K2 coil, right? Whenever K2 coil is on, this contactor will close, so that the supply will be connected to the motor in reverse direction. So the motor will rotate in reverse direction. Okay, right? So the motor is now rotating in reverse direction. Here also, whenever it is started its reverse direction, the timer also should on. So here also you have to use one timer along with this Y2. So this timer I am taking it as T2, T1, T0 and T1 already used. So I am using another timer T2. So here you have to again keep 30 seconds. So this will be 300. Okay, 300 I am keeping. So 30 seconds the motor will rotate in reverse direction. Now after 30 seconds, this Y2 has to off and Y1 has to on. So for this to happen, here you have to keep normally closed button with address T2. That whenever T2 reaches to 30 seconds, then this will open, so that Y2 will off. right? Whenever y2 is off, this K2 will be disconnected from the supply, so this will open, right? To make it completely open, again we are going to give the 2 seconds time, right? After T2, you are going to give another time, which is how 2 seconds. This time, what is timer number? T2 is already used, so here you have to use T3, which is 2 seconds time. Okay, right? After 2 seconds, this motor has to get supply. Okay, for this to happen, what you need to do? Okay, this is already in off mode due to this T0. Okay, after 30 seconds, T0 will be on, so it will make this Y1 off. Okay, so to make it again Y1 on, this timer has to de-energize. Whenever it is de-energized, it will again come to the normally close and the power will get to Y1. Okay, for this to happen, here you have to keep the address, so normally closed contactor with the address T3. Okay, whenever T3 is reaching its time of 2 seconds, T3 will be energized. So T3 energized in the sense this will open. This will open in the sense timer will not get supply. So timer will reset. That means it will come back to normal position, right? So whenever T0 is de-energized, this will become normally closed. So power supply you will get from here, and Y1 will be again starts. Right? Whenever when I/Y1 is on, again the motor will be rotated in forward direction. Then time also again will count 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, this Y1 will off again, and it will give 2 seconds time, and Y2 will on. So again this the time 30 T2 will count the time 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, Y2 will on. Then again 2 seconds will be given and come to back to Y1 again. Like this, the operation will be continuously performed, so that the motor will continuously rotate in forward and reverse for 30 seconds. Forward direction 30 seconds, reverse direction 30 seconds, totally 1 minute. Like you make it. Right, I am going to press the start button. So whenever I press the start button, X0 will be energized, so that Y0 and Y1 both will get the supply. Whenever Y0 and Y1 is on, M and K1 will get supply 220 volts. So this main contactor and forward contactor both will close. So three-phase supply will be given to the motor, and motor will be rotated in reverse direction, sorry, forward direction. Okay. Now after 30 seconds, Y1 will become off, and wait for 2 seconds. Then Y2 is on. Again, now the motor will be rotated in reverse direction. Y2 is on in the sense K2 will be getting the 220 volt supply. So this contactor will close. So whenever this contactor is closed, then R is connected to B, Y is connected to Y. So Y is connected to Y, and B is connected to R. So only two terminals, R and B terminals, are interchanged here. So the motor will rotate in reverse direction, and it will count for 30 seconds. Then after waiting 2 seconds, again Y1 will become on. Like this, Y1 and Y2 will on for every 30 seconds. Okay. So now motor is rotating in forward direction and counting the 30 seconds. Whenever it reaches to 300, 30 seconds will be completed, and it will become off. After 2 seconds, it will on Y2. So then this this timer will start timing, and will count 30 seconds again. After it is reaching to 300, then y2 will become off, and wait for 2 seconds, then y1 will become on. So like this, the operation will be continuously performed till you press the stop push button. Okay. So whenever you press the stop push button, this Y0 has to be de-energized. Main contactor Y0 has to be de-energized so that it will open and the power supply will be disconnected and the motor will off. So for this to happen, what you have to do here, you have to keep X1 address with normally close. Okay. Yes, start. Motor is rotating in forward direction. Wait for 30 seconds. Right. So whenever it reaches to 300, Y1 off and wait for 2 seconds and Y2 will become on. Then this timer T2 will count time, and again it will wait for 30 seconds. Okay. So 30 seconds it will be rotated in reverse direction. So after 30 seconds, again this Y2 will become off and wait for 2 seconds and Y1 will become on. Two seconds wait, Y1 is on. Okay, this operation will be continuously performed until you press the stop button. Now I am going to press the stop button. Whenever you press stop button, so all will off. Even though if you release it, they won't be affected. So the motor now will be in continuously off position. So again, to make the motors to start, again you have to press the start button. Okay, this is how you can make the motor to rotate in forward and reverse continuously like a steering operation. Okay, if you're having any doubt, you comment on the comment box. Thank you.